Hello and welcome to my unexpected Christmas themed model. Like I do with all my figures, I block out all the colours first to see if they're going to work together or need changing. Although one of my children requested a Christmas model, I said no. But unintentionally, I ended up picking Christmas colours. So now as I cut thin strips of masking tape off to create the tape and bow that's going to go on the present that the skeleton is standing on, it's going to look like I caved in and did what one of my children wanted. Creating this bow from masking tape would have been a lot easier if I wasn't doing it begrudgingly. Not wanting to do it is probably the reason why it took so long. But I dare you to try making one because it's a damn sight harder than it looks. After creating the bow, it was a simple task of adding the tape around the present. It's also easier gluing it to the figure if you don't keep knocking it off the handle. I also test fit the bow to make sure it isn't completely out of scale. As we all know, the Santas of the world only wear cloaks with felt trims, so separating the individual strands from this cheap string is what's needed. Just remember to rub off all those little frayed pieces. To attach the individual threads of string, I find superglue is actually best for this, as the large surface area of the string activates the superglue much quicker than PVA glue. Although it might look like the string is touching the glue and I'm pulling it off, this is not the case, as when the string is actually pushed into the superglue, the bond is almost instant. So take care when attaching it to the model, as removing it will be quite destructive. A quick safety lesson: don't cut with your hobby blade towards your finger. Although I received this life-threatening injury, I forged on. It turns out my wife knows first aid, and she reassured me that I don't need 3 months off work for this. My wife suggests if you're cutting string for the gaps in your cloaks, maybe use the pair of scissors on the shelf in front of you. Now I've finished with the scratch building, it's time to paint all the extra details on this figure. As the cloak is the largest area on the model, and therefore the hardest to do the highlights and shadows, I broke out the oil paints and created multiple shades of green. As oil paints are very easy to blend, it's a simple task of just sketching the colours onto the model. Just simply put the darker colours into the areas that would receive shadow, and lighter colours on all the edges and highlights. There really is no need to be precise, because perfectionism won't look organic or realistic. Blending the oils is very easy. Just use quick short brush strokes to blend the pigments, remembering to offload the excess oil paint on the brush on a piece of cloth or kitchen towel every few seconds. If you don't do this, the oil paint the brush picks up will end up getting mixed into the areas you're trying to blend and will make the entire surface look like you've only painted it in one tone. If for some reason you have actually managed to merge all the colours together, the oil paints do take a long time to dry, so reapplying extra paint on top and blending them in is very easy. This can also be done to reinforce any shadows and highlights you want to adjust. Although other tutorials will tell you to put the oil paints on cardboard to soak up the excess oils in the paint, making them dry faster and remove the glossiness from them, I personally prefer the much longer drying time, as it may be a few days before I get to touch up the model I've been working on, and I know matte varnish will knock off the glossy shine from the oil paint. If you do receive a massive injury like myself, do not get oil paint thinner in that cut. Personally, I don't actually own any contrast paint, so I thought I'd buy this one to see what it's all about. I have no idea how to use this stuff, but after watching some simple Games Workshop tutorials, I think it's a case of adding the base colour, the contrast paint, and then re-highlighting with the base colour. I also have no idea how much to apply, so I just slapped it on and hope for the best. Now, I'm not quite sure how it's lasted this long, but my pot of Agrax Earthshade was applied over any area that had small details, including soaking the string with it, the felt trim. I wanted to use a quick gen paint for the present, and seeing as the paint wouldn't know what's in shadow or in light, I painted the underside of the present in an off-white to help darken the final outcome. Seeing as I'm able to learn from my mistakes, I didn't put the quick gem paint on my wet palette, so applying it to some tinfoil instead of letting it soak through to the sponge on the wet palette is most preferred. As I don't want to waste any paint after applying it to all the areas I wanted red, I thought the leftover paint could be used as a glaze. So I applied it to all the areas that I'd already painted a leather brown to give it a more depth of colour. I also applied it to Santa's red fur collar to provide more depth and richness in the reds. I also added this speed paint to the jewels I repainted white. Now it's time to tackle the fur trim. Using a stippling motion, or really a jabbing motion, applying an off-white to the tops of the string creates the illusion of depth in the fur trim. Before it's time to start highlighting every colour, applying a yellow base coat over the present tapes is needed. I wanted to keep this simple, so using the original base colour and a white, I mixed multiple gradients of both colours. Applying the lighter colours for the highlights is a technique I call the wet dry brushing, where I use the flat side of the brush to hit the raised edges of the figure. You could use a dry brushing technique for this, but for some reason I find it quite difficult. As I work through the lighter colours of the reds, I apply the paint in a more targeted and deliberate manner, making sure the areas closer to the light are lighter in colour. This technique or process is followed throughout the entire figure. Now I will say that the Skeleton Horde contrast paint was very good. I do, however, think it's just a watered down version of their shade paints. I'm not quite sure what's in those little paint pots, but if Skeleton Horde contrast paint isn't Acrylic's Earthshade with extra water and paint thinner, I'd be surprised. To make cloth not look black, using lighter greys as highlights and white as specular highlights sells the illusion of black cloth. I also went around the entire figure and highlighted all of the metallic objects. When it comes to the base of the models, especially if it's rocks or stones, I use a very sloppy wet dry brushy technique to apply a lighter grey all over the edges, and then apply the Acrylic's Earthshade, aka a light brown wash, over the stones. For his magical I can get down your chimney potion of sparkliness, an iridescent green transparent ink is applied over the little bottle. That's how the magic happens. But we all know this is 40k Christmas, so we can do better. We need to add the blood and guts of Christmas. So after testing my new Green Stuff World effects paints, it's time to apply some rust onto his chainmail. I find these paints very wet, so after applying them, I go behind and dab up the excess liquid. They say they have pigments in them to create texture, but I find applying them very delicately creates better results. Maybe I'm not shaking them up enough, or maybe my expectations are too high. But after applying the verdigris and the blue oxide onto the relevant areas, it's time for the main event, the sponge chipping. Oh no, hang on, the blood paint. It's best to use the coagulated blood or the dark red blood first in a random pattern covering a larger area, and then applying the fresh blood in smaller areas and across the edge of the blade. Now, one tool that every modeler should have and should cherish like gold is the ultimate Yoo-hoo glue. Slime, snot, vomit, blood, this does the trick. Transparent paint and Yoo-hoo glue, easy effects, done and done. If you want dripping blood, just hang a cocktail stick off the glue until it dries for a simple dripping effect. As Santa eats lots of cookies and drinks warm milk, a little bit of vomit might be necessary. And for those unfortunate little chunks of food in his vomit, mixing some white chalk and the bile paint from Green Stuff World will help create those tiny little textures and bumps in his little vomit spew to sell the illusion that those loads of little bits of cookies are flying out of him. And just remember, blood doesn't quite look gory enough without that lime green textured bile paint running through it. Now, I've just realised that my children wanted a Christmas spirited themed video, but it turns out the gore might have won my imagination. But what's Christmas all about if it isn't the blood and guts of the 40k universe? Thanks for watching, and have fun!